So this is what we're having today. It's stir fry, and has some corn, some bean sprouts, some broccoli, red pepper, garlic, ginger, and bok choy. I think that's it. And then I thickened the sauce, like some what do you call it? Tamari. And James's has fish sauce in it, but mine does not. Oh, and bamboo shoots. And anyway, I thickened the sauce with cornstarch and water, and to make it all nice. Everyone likes it this way. So, and I'm having omega-3 and probiotic with that for breakfast. And James is having pineapple for dessert. I was going to put pineapple in his stir fry too, and then I was just like, on the
It's
side.
better that way. It's healthier too.
Wow. It's just what I felt like this morning. I don't know why. And we're having it on the rice, that blend with wild rice and the brown rice, sprouted beans. Yeah. So, I mean, technically, if I were to believe the package of this rice and beans mix, then we're getting 20 grams of protein just in the rice. Oh, and also there's sesame oil. I drizzled it on afterwards, after I was done cooking. I didn't cook with the sesame oil. But the thing is about the mixes. When you get a mix of anything, you don't know exactly how many amino acids, what kind of amino acids are, and how much of each one are in the mix. So to me, I look at this and there's a whole lot of brown rice. So I'm guessing it's high in some amino acids, but not all. And so there's really, they put 20 grams, or they put the amount of protein on the package, but it's not true. Actually, it's what your body uses as amino acids that it builds protein with. So there's a lot of different amino acids in rice that we need, but we need to complement them with other amino acids from stuff like, say, the beans.
That's why you got beans right in there with the rice, right?
Yeah, but they put it in. I did not, and I can't know. There's, to me, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of beans in there.
Not many.
So I don't know. I mean, we're getting a little more from the bean sprouts, I suppose, in the stir fry. But I don't know how much protein we're getting out of this. Nobody can. You'd have to sift out all of the different things ahead of time and go, oh, yep, there's so and so much brown rice and such and such. So I don't like the blends because it's, frankly, it's a lie. When you see it on the package, when you see protein, you don't know how much you're getting. So, I mean, a lot of vegetarians who are new to it or whatever, they don't understand how it works. And they'll buy a package like that and think, oh, yeah, I'm getting just as much protein as if I'd put some fish on James's meal or whatever. And it's just not true. I could be getting hardly any because I could be getting an excess of lots of amino acids that my body can't use to make the protein I need during the day. But if you just mix up your diet, so you make sure you get, if you actually understand how amino acids work and how protein is built, and you look into that and then over the course of the day, you just mix up your meals. Well, I might have some peanut butter on toast or something. It might work out. Or just not worry about it that much because, I mean, your body's going to burn it off anyway. If it doesn't need it, it'll burn off the excess, so whatever.
So great not to hear too many cars. I guess they're sleeping it off.
Well, they were driving around very late into the evening, so.
And early into the morning.
I mean, I could hear them
Well,
roaring around like dragons chasing each other's tails.
I know. And there was their tails.
It must have been after midnight.
Oh, it was well. It just
They
went
were
on.
really
and on.
going.
Yeah. There's a lot of gas wasted.
Mm-hmm.
A better event would be they've got a kind of a shine and show thing on Sunday.
Anyway, so I guess I'll talk about these movies that we watch. Now, this one here, The Truth About Lies, guy uses pretty much the voice that's like the white voice in Sorry to Bother
about
You.
that. So, yes.
So I thought that was funny because he's a liar, which makes it even funnier, right? Because anyway, and he's a submissive, which is my point, that the white voice is not the voice that every man wants to have or whatever. It's you don't want to have a wimpy submissive voice if you're a man. It's you're just trying to work within the system that is presented to you. So anyway,
It was kind of funny.
It was kind of a
I
funny
was
movie.
tired, so I slept in most of it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, they did a good
It was
job.
kind of
It was worth watching.
I don't think there was an attractive character in it at all.
No.
Everyone's lying and cheating.
Yeah.
And acting stupid.
So Marcella season 2, so much better than season 1. I watched that back to back with a little break to go out and smell car exhaust up close and personal.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it was good. So in the series, you're wondering, okay, well, I guess her name is Marcella, I should say.
No, that's the Italian
So
pronunciation.
Marcella, you're wondering, okay, is she just crazy, or is what's going on here, right? And you're trying to figure it out. She's trying to figure out. She's going to she has blackouts where she doesn't know what's happened, and she's under a lot of stress. And she's a police officer. She's trying to investigate. She's trying to keep kids from being murdered. And so this is something she's put a lot of effort into because she really cares. And anyway, the story unravels, and still at the end, I think we're going to find in season 3 that she shouldn't have signed away her half of the custody of her children, because we know now with the hypnotic regressions that she's been going through that her husband has been really, really messing with her mind in a big way. So I think her blackouts are because of him, and it's pretty good. So I enjoyed watching that. Completely surprise ending. I did not expect the killer to be the person that it was, and I didn't expect a lot of things that happened in that. So that was very much worth watching. I guess this one, James, you want to talk about Earth, Air, Water, and Fire? He said it was bad.
I'm just trying to place it based on what's on the front. Yeah.
That was the
So-
one you told me that stupid left-wingers shouldn't
Yeah, I'm trying to find a way to say it well.
make climate change videos or whatever without
well,
giving an answer for some
well-
kind of idea. Yeah, we all know it's happening.
So there's a
And-
million of these out on the market.
Yeah.
It seems to be happening. So next step is, what do you do about it? How do you get people motivated? You don't do it this way. So yeah, it should be. Well, I'm exaggerating, but maybe illegal for left-wingers to have a camera, because with stuff like this. And sadly, like there's a ton of left-wingers. You see them stomping around, trying to look unusual, trying to look punk or whatever, trying to look.
Yeah, I don't know. There were a bunch of people protesting at City Hall
When
just
was it?
the other day.
Oh, you got to be kidding me!
And
They were out
they had
again.
big signs, "Stop climate change." It's like, yeah, okay, we'll stop then.
Yeah, I tell you, that's a place to do it, because someone's going to run over them. Because they're right on a fairly major intersection. I don't know. How did they get there? They take a bus, they walk. You know how they got there. They cycle there. You know how they got there.
They're great big signs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I got my first car when I was 56. I was kind of lucky I got it. We ended up using it more than we intended, because I ended up with cancer. But what I used to say, and I practiced it, was for a guy, a single, healthy guy in the city, a car's a glorified wheelchair. In the end, I needed it as a wheelchair. But up until then, if there was anything on this side of the city, I didn't even take a bus. I'd walk or run. I usually run. But so when I was building some homemade shelving with those big concrete blocks, I walked a mile. Well, not with one of them, with two of them. You try that. See how good that feels on your guns. And I just didn't do that with two. You can't make a shelving unit with just two of those things. Not a very good one. I did it many times. I can remember one guy saw me. He was into heavy hands back then. He still is. And all he said was one word, 3 syllables: ambitious. Well, ambitious, but it's partly just being responsible. So it's actually possible to live in the city if you're young. And like I say, young for me was up until age 56. So, because I tried to stay reasonably healthy. So, yeah, I wonder how many of them drove. If I see them again, I'll just kind of innocently ask. Innocently, not so innocently. So how'd you get here? The signs must have been tough to bring on foot, eh?
Yeah. Anyway. And it's funny because we're just talking about street wheelers, and everybody gets out watching the cars drive around in circles for no good reason.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I got out there too. But go ahead.
Well, I went out for the first time with the camera.
But it was more like you were documenting something.
Yeah, I have no interest in watching it. When I first moved here, I thought, what in the world? Why was there so much traffic at night? And I was complaining about it. I think I went to work and I was complaining about all the traffic and how loud it was.
So you moved here in the beginning of July.
And some people told me, well, no, it was the next summer.
Oh, okay.
So, but that was the first time I saw or heard it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. But then my coworkers, I think, told me, oh, it was street wheeler. They thought it was funny, right? And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
what's that? I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Oh.
It's a big, stupid parade.
It's one of the biggest, well, it keeps on going on, It's one of the biggest events on Lethbridge. I'm just shocked at how many people turn out for.
So it shows you, people love it.
People love it. Well,
Not
around
me,
here, I don't
but
know.
here. So, good luck.
I used to love cars, model cars. or no model cars, the little cars, like Matchbox cars, or smaller than the Matchbox cars. What do they call them? Hot Wheels, smaller.
Yeah.
But not smaller, a little bit bigger, but
Yeah.
not full size. And when did I kind of give up on it? When I turned age 13. So kind of like when I became a teenager. So I think it behooves most people to, well, anyone to do the same. The cars are a bore. So.
Anyway, so what's the next one there?
Oh,
Oh, wrestling. You can talk about wrestling.
wrestling. Well, we'll leave that.
That was
to
actually
him.
pretty entertaining.
How about this one? Delerium. You want to talk about that?
It was great. It had what's her name?
It actually wasn't that bad. I was a bit worried about it. It really had a slow start.
Patricia Clarkson.
Right.
And honestly, when I see her in movies now, I'm
Oh,
like,
that's right.
oh, it's going to be an okay movie.
She's never bummed us out.
No.
Never ever.
So I
tempted
mean,
us to put
sometimes
on
she's
and
not in
watch it.
great movies, but
Well,
they're
she's
watchable.
never the star, but
Yeah.
she seems to pick out good vehicles.
sure. And it had Topher Grace, I think. How do you pronounce that name? I think so, but I'm not sure.
Where is the name?
The guy from that 70s show. Right there. You can.
Oh,
turn-
that's where he came from.
Yeah. So, anyway,
That's probably as good a way to pronounce it as
I
any.
did not see that coming, and it was kind of laid out for you, but at the same time, you're just like, I think it's all in Guy's head, because he's just inherited his dead father's house, and so he's in kind of like house arrest, I guess, but he's, I guess that would be what it was, but he was from a
so
mental.
he's got an ankle bracelet, or
Yeah,
whatever they call it.
but he was from a mental institution because that's where he'd had his sentence, where he was supposed to have it. And
Sure.
so, yeah, but they figured, oh yeah, you can stay in the house. So he's in house arrest there, and he's hearing things, and
Which ain't much of a sentence because it was a fancy house. Yeah.
very huge.
It had a huge swimming pool
Yeah.
in it, built-in swimming pool.
And so he just has to check in. There's a camera, a phone that he has to answer whenever they phone. He has to pick up the thing, and there's a camera there that takes his picture to make sure it's actually him, that he doesn't have a tape recorder set up on an answering machine to just answer the phone. And what else? Oh, and he has the ankle bracelet. So, but he's able to live his fancy life in his fancy house, but he has to be alone. And he's got mental issues, so he's not alone. And he's really scared. And you go along with the thing thinking, yeah, it's just his mental problems and it's him, but
Spoiler alert now, right?
yeah, it's not. So definitely watch the movie. So good. I rarely see this quality of horror suspense out now. It's well worth watching. I enjoyed it a lot. So go ahead and talk about wrestling.
Yeah, so Pauline got this specifically for me in a campy, ironic kind of way. I gotta say, I enjoyed it. Pauline, I won't say she enjoyed it, but she did watch the occasional bit of it, and
James watched it twice.
I
Back
watched
to back.
it almost twice. Like,
Oh, yeah,
left
I turned
the
it
last
off.
part of it. Yeah,
Yeah, but
but
I was just tired of watching it. Wasn't it?
I was trying to keep track of all the guys they shuffled out for it. You know, like, and it wasn't a bunch of also rans. Well, they were also rans now because they're old, you know, all beaten up. But they had Bret the Hitman Hart and Tito Santana. Some of these names there. Doink the Clown, my favorite. Because as I recall, he just got treated like a Popeye punching bag. You know what I'm talking about? Those things that, you know, bang, they come back up.
I think they had one that was a clown.
That's Doink
I
the
wonder
Clown.
if it was called Doink.
Oh, you're kidding?
No,
oh,
I
one
think
of those
they had
punching
one.
bags. Well, could be. So, Doink the Clown. You know, as I told Pauline a long time ago, I'll watch anything. I won't watch it for long if it's really crappy. But I do like finding out what stuff is like. So I have watched WWE back when it was called WWF, and it might have lasted for 6 months or something like that, probably less. But so I got to know a few of the names like Randy Savage. They just had pictures of Randy Savage there, and Dusty Rhodes and Doink the Clown. He was my favorite because he was such a loser. And I don't think Bret the Hitman Hart was really hit the big time back then. It was like around 1990 or something like that, or maybe he'd already gone the way of the world. I can't remember. Or maybe he was on it. I can't remember. Anyway, I found out what the formula was like, and I watched it when I was a kid. My mom she was different. She liked athletics, but somewhere along the line, she got hooked on Stampede Wrestling, which was run by Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah, my grandpa was watching it.
There we go. And my mom took it semi-seriously, but she knew it was fake.
Oh, I was so worried, when I was a little kid and that was on. I was like, that guy, he's gonna hurt the other guy because he'd had he was showing he had a fork in or something like that, right?
Or they'd bring the chairs
pretending
in.
They were gouging each other's eyes out.
It's well choreographed, and a lot of it looks to be choreographed, but improvised, So, and they talk about using razor blades to cut their foreheads, and foreheads just bleed like crazy, even if it's a relatively minor wound and things like that. One guy talked about getting hepatitis from, as he said, mingling blood with someone else who cut his forehead, things like that. So it's a dangerous sport, very bad for the health and things like that. The thing that it reminded me of, though, is the Trump wars. Trump almost has a wrestler's kind of persona. He's really belligerent and things like that. He says stupid stuff. And his real hardcore followers, I'm afraid, aren't that much more intelligent than the wrestling fans who actually think it's a real thing and not staged. So there are people like that. They were talking about people who'd be throwing hot coffee on them. And one guy got his bicep slashed by irate fan. So that's a sad thing. There's some people who don't realize that Trump is basically a pro wrestler, at least. Thank heavens he doesn't use steroids. I mean, he'd be so amped, it's crazy. But steroids, I've had to use steroids as treatment for my cancer. Dexamethasone's stunningly strong. So you get your entry level corticosteroid, and what I'd be taking, I think, is dexamethasone's 20 times that, but I would take 10 of those at a time. So that's like 200 times your average entry level corticosteroid, and you get amped. You cannot sleep the day or the night that you've the day following the day that you've taken it. It's just impossible. And you get flushed and tend to talk a little faster than you're used to talking, stuff like that. So one of the good things is ideas come a little bit faster. But some of them are pretty dumb ideas. Maybe that's one of the things that's wrong with Trump. I don't know. But I don't think he's on steroids. I think it's just a boring loser. Anyway, thank heavens he's not on steroids, as I was saying. Or maybe he is. I don't know. Anyway,
my favorite line in there was about the guy saying, he was talking about him and his friend or whatever, co-worker.
Partners, what they call it, which would be a tag team partner. Doing
cocaine. I think they said doing a 9-ball of cocaine a night. I don't know what that is.
I'm not sure what it is. So.
And anyway, so he was saying we did that at night and we'd party and this and that, and then in the morning, the next day we'd do it again, but it was the 80s, so we paced ourselves.
Yeah.
But every day they were doing it, but we paced ourselves.
There were some pretty funny lines. I mean, Bret the Hitman Hart was pretty honest. He said he used cocaine back in the day. He said he used steroids for 5 years, and that might have been a bit of an understatement, but,
they seem to be telling it
a lot of the guys were talking about groupies being like arena rats or ring rats, and you know what Hart said? He said he thanked them for helping him out. It was hard being on the road, So it's kind of respectable. And he was honest about it. He wasn't hiding it or anything like that. He was married at least for part of that time and stuff like that. So I've got a degree of respect for him. What else did he talk about? Yeah, he was just saying, like he thought it was good that they had testing, mandatory testing in the wrestling thing for cocaine. And I think he said amphetamines, and he said, but the pot? No. He said it helps these dudes relax and they get over the pain. Apparently, pot's good for pain. So he was a pretty honest kind of dude, stuff like that. I developed a degree of respect for him. That having been said, he wasn't terribly articulate. He sounded like a hockey player, like Bobby Clark or something like that.
You would expect a wrestler.
Exactly.
Anyway, I didn't mind the documentary.
Yeah, it's
and
actually.
I didn't get it for myself. That's for sure.
No,
I didn't expect to like it at all. No. But there were some funny lines and.
Well, they're used to performing, right?
I think it was pretty well put together.
They're saying they're some of the best actors in the world. And I'm going, well, melodramatic actors, because everything's over the top, right? Yeah. Bret Hart was kind of different, like he's understated. But I love the guy Ox Baker, something like that, he had this huge, big, mutton chops, really, halfway between mutton chops and Fu Manchu. And then he had
I love that cooking show part. That was so good. It was awful. Apparently he made a cookbook, and so they were showing a little example of what the cookbook would be like. And honestly, like that cookbook, he said he sold 3,000 copies, and I'm like, yeah, that's like the perfect gift for a woman to get her almost ex-husband as she's walking out the door. Just here you are.
Figure
it out
for yourself. And chuck some potatoes on there. And what did you say? There were some red peppers chucked in.
Yeah, he did. He put some red peppers in there.
And he didn't burn it, apparently.
No.
He just browned it a lot better than what I do.
But not really, not complicated cooking at all.
Although he should have had a hairnet on that mutton chop Fu Manchu.
Should have.
And like I was saying,
the eyebrows.
He should have had it on his eyebrows. Yeah. They were incredible. You know, just never seen. And he made sure he dyed them.
That's impressive.
Very impressive. And he had these crazy eyes. He was still doing the act. Other people weren't doing the act. One guy was, what was he playing? George Steele or something like that. And he was incredible. Because his act was he had a bald head and then he was a total bear. You know what I'm saying? He looked really freaky. He was in Ed Wood, apparently. Right? The movie
was
Ed
that
Wood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, he was, every so occasionally, a kid would say, "You're him," like in real life. You're him. And it would be awful, really. If you're playing a villain, the way they pick villains out were largely baby faces. They said. And
I think the baby faces were the nice. Were the not villains.
Well, exactly right. And then there were the.
What did they call the villain people?
Yeah, I'm glitching on that one too. But at any rate, that's what. There's one thing though with the baby faces is there was one. Well, he didn't actually have a baby face. There was this guy who was his partner. Now, understand this is tag team partners, not what we use partner for nowadays. But he said he had this partner, and they were just junior Joes at this beginning, so they were just trying to work out their persona. And this guy finally said, "I know, I'm going to be Gorgeous George." And you actually missed it, because Gorgeous George, I mean, he didn't have much of a face. It wasn't really bad, but Gorgeous George just had a transvestite image, right? Mm-hmm. Beautiful dresses, silks, stuff like that. Looked like feather boas and long curly hair and things like that. But as I said to Pauline, of course, he was a villain. If guys were good looking in that way or took care of